Hi, I'm Hannah and this is Plot Threads. Today I wanted to do the mid-year book freakout tag. Even though I know it's almost August and I am a month or so late, I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the books I've read this year because I have done pretty well. I've read 27 so far. My goal for the year is 50. I think I'm one book behind, but now that I have some free time after a lot of crazy life stuff has been going on, I think I can catch up pretty soon. So question 1, how many books have you read? Like I said, 27. That's about normal for me. I usually, my goal is usually 50 books a year, and I usually meet that with maybe 1 or 2 extra. I don't count comic books, otherwise I would have read much more. It's not that I don't consider graphic novels real books or literature. I absolutely do, but they're so short. I don't know. It's just my own system. I don't count children's books either. I don't read many of those, but I'm a librarian, so sometimes at work I will just read a couple, but I don't count those either, like I said, just because they are also so short. Question 2. What is your favorite book so far this year? Oh, that's a really hard question. There are a couple I've read that I really enjoyed. I read a mystery, the first in a new series, about a detective called, number 1 is The Widows of Malabar Hill, which is a new series about a detective in India that I loved it. Oh, it was so good. The detective is, it's a woman, one of the first female lawyers, I think in Bombay, named Praveen Mistry, M-I-S-T-R-Y, and it was so good. I loved Praveen. It was absolutely fantastic. If you love mysteries, I absolutely recommend this one. The other book I read that I really enjoyed, well, one of them is The Death of Mrs. Westaway by Ruth Ware. I read a couple of Ruth Ware's books before. She gained kind of acclaim from The Woman in Cabin 10, which I've read, and I also read In a Dark, Dark Wood. I liked both of those, but they were disappointing. The ending just, for both books, the ending kind of just left me like, But The Death of Mrs. Westaway, oh my gosh, so good. I absolutely recommend that one as well. And if you can get the audiobook, I absolutely recommend that. That's how I listened to, whatever, a large chunk of it. Fantastic. The third book is Eleanor, Oliphant is Completely Fine. I actually read this for book club at work, so this was a reread, and I loved it just as much the second time. I absolutely recommend that one as well. It's so sweet and just a wonderful read. Oh, actually, I forgot. I have to say, I changed my mind. I loved all the books that I mentioned, but my favorite book I read this year was actually Howl's Moving Castle, which I had never read before, and I loved it. Oh my gosh. I had seen the Studio Ghibli movie, which was so good, but I had never read the book, and I did, and I'm so glad because it was wonderful. Question 3. What is the most disappointing book you read this year? This was hard because I read another mystery, but I wasn't disappointed because the book was bad. I was disappointed because I read it on Kindle, and you know, sometimes if several people who've read it have highlighted or whatever, it'll show the underline or it'll show the section they've highlighted, and in this instance, someone highlighted the very specific clue that led to the identity of the murderer and drew attention to it immediately, far more attention than I would have given it by myself. Now, I had picked up on, like, that it was a clue or whatever, but I knew immediately who did it, so the rest of the book was so disappointing. Okay, it was the Decagon House Murders is what I read, and it's in a style, it's a Japanese book translated into English, and it's in a style where, much like the books of Ellery Queen, and I think I might put in the description the specific style because I can't remember right now, but it's a puzzle. The author gives you all the clues and you're supposed to be able to figure it out, which was why I read it. I specifically wanted a book like that, and I knew immediately who the murderer was, so this was not disappointing because it was a bad book. This was disappointing because Kindle cursed you. That was, oh, I was so angry. I was so angry. Name a new favorite author you've discovered this year. Ooh, that's hard. I don't know. I might have to say, because I loved Howl's Moving Castle so much, Diana Wynne Jones would be one of my new favorite authors. I have not read anything else by her, but I loved Howl's Moving Castle so much that I kind of want to, so. Question 6, what's the most surprisingly good book you've read this year? That would be Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste. Now, I had heard really great things about this book. I was not expecting to dislike it because it was a bad book. I had looked at the description and it was about motherhood, and I read it while I was pregnant, so I was super nervous and I was like, oh my gosh, bad mothers, what if my daughter doesn't love me? And, you know, crazy anxiety, neurosis stuff, me just being very silly. It was wonderful. That was a great book. I absolutely recommend that as well, Little Fires Everywhere. Question 7, what are your favorite, most anticipated 2018 releases? I don't know if anyone is anticipating these but me, but the 2 books that I am most looking forward to, that I have pre-ordered, that are going to be in my house on release date, that I want to own, are the new Sophie Hannah Hercule Poirot book, which is coming out, I believe, in August. I think August the 28th. I'm not 100% sure. I don't care about the date because Amazon's going to send it to me on that date, so. And the second book that I am looking forward to so much is Robert Galbraith's Lethal White, which is the 4th book in the Corporate Strike series. I am so excited. It's been 2 years since the 3rd book, Career of Evil, came out, and I cannot tell you how much I want to read these books. I'm a mystery fan, super fan, so I am so excited. Question 8, what's your next big priority for your reading? To just get my TBR pile down. I tend to hoard books. If I see one that I like at the library, I'm like, oh, I'll take that home. And I end up with like 25 books that I don't have time to read, so I'm going to try to work on whittling that down, because there are some really great books that I really want to read in there. So, Question 9, what's been your bookish highlight of the year so far? I think that the best part this year as far as books and reading goes is my book club at work. I run a small book club with several older ladies, and I'm in charge of picking the books as well as leading the discussion. And the book club had existed before I took it over. I only got the book club because the person running it had retired, so I was very nervous, and, you know, I was like, oh, what do they like to read? Is it going to be what I like to read? Are we going to have anything to talk about? But this year, I felt like we've had some really great discussions. The ladies have gotten to know me. Everyone's a little more comfortable. It's been great, and we really have read some great books. We're about to read We Were the Lucky Ones by Georgia Hunter for to talk about it in this month's next week, I think. On the 31st, we're going to talk about We Were the Lucky Ones. We've also read Eleanor, Oliphant Was Completely Fine. We've read Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste, which I talked about. We've read A Piece of the World by Christina Baker Klein, which was also very good. And a couple of others that I can't remember off the top of my head right now, but it's really been fun. I've enjoyed it a lot, so that has been my highlight for the year. Okay, that was the mid-year book freakout tag. I will see you next time.